everyone, I'm Sloan from SloanBella.com, and I'm back with another channeled musician video. This is my second video on this particular person, although my first one disappeared, just like poof, gone into the air. So this is my second video, reiterating the same thing I said in the first video from a very different perspective a few years later. So we're going to start from scratch, although it's not really scratch because I did it before, but we're going to start from scratch on this particular young man who was born on January 19th of 1992 and passed away September 7th of 2018. So we are talking about the musician, the rapper, Mac Miller. Really a musician. It doesn't matter what kind of music you play, you're still a musician, whether people like it or don't like it or whatever. So the very first energy I get with this, which is really strange, but I'm going to just put it out there, and I don't know what I said in the first video because it's been removed and I didn't back it up. So there you go. But the first thing that I get with this particular energy is I get a strong connection to Kurt Cobain, which makes no sense because I think they're totally different people born in different generations, but I'm sure a musician is a fan of one type of music and the other. But I'm going more on a soul level to the energy of what happened to this young man, being very, very, very similar to what happened to Kurt Cobain. Yes, they died in different ways, but I just feel like there's a similarity and a connection. I'm being drawn to that. And I really feel like it's through the females in their life. That's what I feel with it. Now, Mac Miller had an Aquarius rising, and he had those big watery eyes, which of course is Cancer moon. Not of course, but it's a water sign moon, Cancer. And he was born on a full moon. He had Sun opposition moon. He's a Capricorn Sun. He had a stellium, 4 more planets in the same sign, Capricorn. He had his Uranus and Neptune very closely associated with Mercury. He also had aspects on his Mars. So the personality, and this was interesting, he had Moon opposition Neptune. Now I find that very interesting. Why do I find that interesting? Because anybody with Neptune on any of their major luminaries, Sun or Moon, male or female, Sun being male, female Moon, whichever one it is, they don't have a clear perception of the opposite sex or the same sex if they happen to be a person with it in the same, dating the same sex. In his particular instance, the moon in Cancer is in opposition to Neptune in Capricorn. Now, if he were alive today, he would be coming on the tail end of this horrendous T-square that we've had with all the cardinal signs. So he was the beginning aspect of that, all right? So he's the very beginning aspect of that. So energetically, he shouldn't have passed when he did. And I get him like, this will sound really funny. If he hadn't have been a musician, he would have gone into studying something. This is what I get with him. Like, he's very voracious when it comes to reading books or learning is what I feel. When I'm talking about that, he has this mindset where he's constantly grasping at things and concepts and ideas and trying to change it. I'm talking about from the other side. So he's not willing to just let things slide. I ask straight out, why did you die? I know they said it was an overdose. First of all, the overdose, the drug addiction, the death by means of drugs is not quite stated correctly, is what he's saying. It's not quite stated correctly. That day, and yes, he's saying, very strong and very clear right now. It's been a few years. Yes. Okay. So there was addiction issues. He did like the drugs. He liked to do that, but not for the reasons that you think. Yes, he suffered from depression, and that would be the Saturn in the 12th house behind the Aquarius ascendant, also in Aquarius. This young man would be coming into a Saturn return right now as we speak, and he didn't even make it to that, which is very unfortunate. But that Saturn in the 12th house gives an overwhelming past life karma to the circumstance of one's own death, so to speak. And it's a wide conjunction to the ascendant from the 12th house. So it's not overtly depression in the first house, meaning when Saturn is placed in the first house, there is a sudden ending in the most recent past life. In this particular instance, it's Saturn in the 12th conjuncting the ascendant the way the self is in this life. So there's always that level of like, is my life happy? Is my life good? What do I feel? And he basically is explaining that a lot of what he felt in this life was based on other people's perceptions about what he should be, what he should do. But then he's going, no, really my perceptions, I needed to be something. I needed to do this. And he's talking about like this unrelenting drive. I need to be something. Because there's a focus in the family of the parents not being on the same page with him, not being on the same page, kind of making him feel like he wasn't exactly the way that he should have been, the way that he was supposed to be in this life. So there was a feeling of like, if I can only do better, people are really, really going to like me. So he focused on that. If I can climb to the top of the ladder, if I can make the most money, if I can be the most famous, then they're going to notice me. So there's a real insecurity with him. I'm going to word it more as a sensitivity with that Cancer moon and those big eyes. I see those big eyes and then I'm like, Cancer moon. Big watery stare. Basically, though, he's saying, I didn't know what I was doing. He's not talking music. I am asking why he OD'd. So why are you ODing when you're successful, when you're getting everything you want? Why you're ODing? And he's basically shaking his head. No. Shaking his head. This is not exactly how it happened. Yes, he had these drug problems, and I was trying to explain that through the astrology. Yes, I had depression. Yes, I felt less than. Yes, I was insecure. Again, when he passed away, he was a very young man. So we don't expect, when you look at your life, if you're older than him, you know how insecure you are. We expect young people just to be like secure, and it's like, maybe not, right? So maybe not. But what I get with him is really interesting because he's basically saying he's using the word honeypot. Okay, so honeypot is a term that's always been used when a woman steps up to the plate to seduce a male counterpart in the art of seduction in order to lure the prey in. It's kind of the word he uses. Now, I'll use it in a term that I'm familiar with. If you put a honeypot out in the middle of the forest, you're going to find all the bears come looking for the honey, snatch it up, take the energy of that honey, use it all up, eat it all up, and then throw the pot away. I'm saying this for a reason. They were after his style, after his energy, and he fell prey to what someone said to him. Now, this is interesting. It wasn't that very famous female that he was dating. It was not her at the time. There was another woman that came in. More his style, he says, more his style. Ariana was always out of his league in his own mind. I'm not saying she was out of his league. To him, she was out of his league. This isn't necessarily true, but this is how he felt. This was the voice in his head that's always talking in his head. Talk, not right. He had these really intrusive thoughts coming in, coming out. But basically, he was a pretty decent person, a pretty nice guy from what I get, from the energy I see. When I ask what he did, he kind of did the stuff you and I all do. Go to the coffee shop, go to the store, hang out with his friends around the pool. He could be cool, but he was finding at the end of his life that a lot of people were basically stepping away from him as friends. So he was letting go or getting rid of, becoming very lonely, isolating, and then I get a huge rift with his mother at the time that he passed. So I don't even know what that means because I don't know much about his history, and I never listened to his music. I still haven't listened to anything. If I have, I'm unaware of it, meaning I don't know it's his song. But he basically had this thing where he was separated on an emotional level from his mother at the time of his passing. Even if they were talking, it was not the way that he wanted to be talking to her. So there's an apology in that sense. And he basically shoved a lot of people out of his life, especially females close to him in his life. Totally shoved out, right? So totally gone, totally shoved out. Now, when I feel the energy of him, he keeps saying about the connection to Kurt Cobain. I was totally set up. I was going to use a swear word. I was totally set up. First time I haven't used a swear word. Now, here's what's funny. He's kind of a polite kid. Anyway, totally set up at the end of his life. Set up. Total bait and switch, sign the contract, bait and switch. Here's the contract, sign the contract, bait and switch. total bait and switch there. I don't want to sign the contract. I don't want to do that. He's talking work-wise, okay? So there was something new coming up that he was creating. Somebody wanted to take ownership of this. He let his guard down thinking, I'm one of them, when I'm not one of them, is what he says. I'm not. I wasn't. That's not what happened. I was not one of them. I didn't see what was going on for what it was. I didn't see it for what it was. Now, as it played out, it's quite interesting, because as it played out, the relationship that he had with the very famous female, Ariana, the other musician, the relationship that he had with her was not what it was presented to be. There was a bait and switch in that, bait and switch. Another female came in. She was more on his level. This is how he describes it. So he was more comfortable with her. Like, she was more willing to like put up with his shit. He quit a lot of the drugs, but at the end of his life, he did start doing it. He had tremendous insecurity, and he was very, very paranoid. Now, I'm going to change that wording from paranoid to very, very intuitive and very, very perceptive as to what was going on. So let me just explain what he's showing me. I get a lot of visual pictures with him. There's a lot of energy that comes down, and there's somebody, I just heard a name on the other side. It's either Ray or Raymond on the other side that he connected with, an uncle, somebody in the family with this name, very strong, comes through from the other side. I'm hearing the name. I don't know why he's screaming it out. I don't know who that is. I have no idea. I'm kind of going blind at this one because I know who this person is, obviously, when he passed away. And the first time I heard about him actually was talking to the very famous female that at the beginning of that connection, which I believe was in 2016, just getting ready to work together. So I had heard about him through her, actually, on a personal level. But what I am going to say with this is there was another female that came into his life that he was kind of closer to, kind of more connected with, could get along with. I think this was somebody that he was intimate with. I think that he liked this person. I feel like she's a totally different looking girl, so lighter haired, lighter looking. I'm talking hair color. And I feel like he didn't see it. She kind of tricked him, is what he's saying. She kind of tricked me. She tricked me because she was like me, but she wasn't really like me. She was like them. So he got set up. I bet this is how a lot of people feel when they get into a relationship with somebody that they think is somebody who loves them or somebody who cares for them. And then they find out that this person is like not caring for them, has an agenda, an ulterior motive, a goal. She's on the phone. She's on the phone to people. She's on the phone to his management team. She's dropping a dime because he cut them off. I bet you people don't know that. He cut them off probably 6 months prior to his passing. He stopped talking to them and he stopped playing ball with them. That's what he's showing me. I said, stop. I'm not going to do this. And it's nothing nefarious. I think that they wanted him to start working in a particular way that he did not want to work or didn't want to grind himself. I almost feel like he was going in a different direction with his work, doing things a little bit differently. I see him walking into the kitchen of his house, which coincidentally happens to be in the valley, Sherman Oaks, I believe. But I see him walking into the kitchen of his house, and there's a counter on this side, a counter. He walks over to the sink. There's always counters in the kitchens, aren't there? But he walks over to the sink, and he's like grabbing a glass of water. He's not even using a bottle. He's grabbing a glass of water. So he's walking around. He's kind of by himself on that day. I do feel he went out earlier in the morning. Yes, he gets depressed, but no more than anybody else is what he's saying. Meaning at times he had been more depressed, but probably not more than the other people around him, really, is what he's saying. So he's walking around his house, and then there's a guy in a suit, poof, right there, okay? So this guy lets himself in the house. Now, has a key, lets himself in the house, which is kind of weird to me. I don't know how maybe he knew where the spare key was. I get the impression, because I don't feel that Mac knew, like, gave this person a key. I don't feel like that's what happened. So he comes into the house, and they're talking. This is what I'm seeing. They're talking. Now, this man is interesting to me because I feel like he's slightly shorter than Mac. I feel like he's shorter than him. And when I say that to you, the reason I'm saying it is I'm seeing them, and he's showing me him in a suit, meaning he's a suit. Never trust those suits. I don't trust them. No. He's saying he's in a suit, but shorter than him. So I'm not sure. Mac Miller to me looks to be like around 5'10", 5'11". So this person's probably 5'8", 5'9", but showing me that he's shorter than him. And this was a younger guy. Now, younger than me, but older than him. So probably I'm going to put in his 30s, maybe early 40s, but looks younger. Actually looks pretty young. Shows me the suit. I don't know if he showed up in a suit that day. I doubt it, but just showing me that he's business. So there was a business rep or business manager there on the day that he died. We need to clean this shit up. We need to clean this shit up is what he's saying. We need to clean this shit up. So they're having this conversation, like we need to switch this, we need to do this, and he was unwilling. I'm talking about Mac, unwilling to go forward in business the way that they were suggesting. I'm not willing to do it. I'm not willing to do it. I don't want to do it. He was kind of defeated in his role as a musician because it was not going the way that it had been promised to him, and it was kind of breaking his back is what he's saying to me. I don't want to do, I want to have fun. I just want to do shit. He's kind of a screw around, whatever, had a sense of humor. Like I could see him like get, in a golf cart, run around, in the hills, like yipping, all right. It's kind of what he's showing me. Want to have fun. I want to have fun. I'm not having fun. I'm not having fun. He wanted to start thinking about other things. He was thinking about his career, but he didn't want, in the beginning, he wanted to be everything that he was. And in the end, he didn't want to be what he was. Yes, he was coming off of certain drugs. Okay, he tried everything to fit in with the stereotype of what rappers do. You know what that is. Like all the drugs they take and the women and the booze and the bras and the booty and the cough syrup and all that bullshit, the fast cars. But that wasn't really who he was. It really wasn't who he was. It's who he thought he wanted to be. So why was this in his head, and why was there a honeypot? Okay, he's like, I'm feeling the energy on the back of my head. There's a honeypot operation around him. There's a concerted effort to send a female in, underground female. Okay, so how do you do that? You send her in as a lover to spy on what he's doing so that she can maybe go back to his management team, his company, and let them know if he's really still on drugs, because he was really trying to clean up. I'm even trying to get in shape. I'm even trying to get buff. Didn't have a chance to get buff. Didn't have a chance to get in shape. Wants to apologize for what he thought he was doing. He cut a lot of people off. This was because his feelings were hurt. So understand that when your feelings are hurt in particular situations, when you have this sensitive energy that he had, and he did struggle with, like, should I do drugs? Should I not do drugs? What if I just do a little bit of drugs? What if I smoke a little bit of weed and I don't do this, but I do that? It was like this bargaining. He was bargaining with everything in his life at the end, and it was just like suddenly I'm putting a stop to it. I don't want to do this. So he was all over the place emotionally, but on the other hand, he was very strong. He was getting his life in order. So that's interesting. That's very interesting. Getting his life in order. Getting his life in order. And he also, he had Pluto squaring his ascendant. Okay, so astrologically, when you have Pluto squaring your ascendant, it's kind of like, watch out who your friends are, watch out who everybody is, because you might just get like taken out in some way you don't even think. Like if there's, a concert in the huge grassy field, the grassy knoll, aka JFK Jr. Anyway, if there's something like that going on, you may be the one that gets the pop shots. Okay, this is kind of the energy of him. I didn't actually overdose the way that they said. Now, how would I like to word this? I was taking anxiety medicine. I had a lot of anxiety. The voices in my head talking, I had a lot of anxiety. Giving me anxiety, talking about the anxiety, I had a lot of anxiety. The anxiety that I had, I took some I don't know, I'll use the word Valium, the other stuff that people take. I can't remember it, but I took some of those things. But I took it because I had anxiety. I didn't know what to do. I bite my fingernails because I have anxiety. I'm so itchy because somebody is standing literally behind me making energy go through my head. Like I want to itch back there. I can kind of, it's like someone's just going like this on my head. Okay, so the day he died, all he can remember is I walk in, I get a glass of water, I turn around, I want to say his manager or one of his management team is there. They're talking, and that's all he remembers. I'm lying down on the bed. I step out of my body. He steps out of his body. I can't fucking believe it. I can't fucking believe it. I just stepped out of my body. Am I having a dream? Is this a nightmare? What is this? I don't know what this is. So I'm confused about my death. I don't think I overdosed. I know I didn't overdose now, but I don't think I overdosed at that time. I may have had drugs in my system, but it was kind of helped along by something else. Now, this is interesting. I feel like there was another substance in his body at the time of his passing. I don't know what to call it. I feel like there may have been an injection of some level into his body to make him a little bit incoherent or magnify the effect of what he'd taken, or maybe we don't know what he took and we just put something in his arm to calm his ass down and try to control the situation for some reason. When I wake up, I cannot believe I'm dead. I'm literally out of my body. I see my body on the bed. I see my body on the bed. Something about the bedspread that he had on the bed or the covering for the bed. He's laughing about, I don't know what was on his bed. I don't know if they got rid of the bedspread on his bed. I'm wondering what they put on the bed, but he's laughing about it. So there's a bedspread. So he's laughing about this bedspread. I don't know if they removed the bedspread or what they did, but there are then two other men that come in the house, and it's really reminding me of the movies where they have cleaners come in and clean up the evidence or clean up the surroundings or clean up the circumstances, clean up the floor, clean up the bedroom, clean up whatever to make it pristine so that when the police come, it doesn't look like something happened that did happen that didn't happen, if you get what I'm saying. But he's laughing at the bedspread. He keeps laughing, and he's putting just like all of this fuss is so unnecessary. All of this fuss is so unnecessary. He's basically saying one big game. I'm fine now. I'm fine now. I can see and I know. I'm fine now. You think you get away with things, but you don't get away with them. And he's talking about his choice in women in this life and the choice, and that was a mistake because they opened the door for what happened to him to happen to him. So I actually feel like he was either force-fed or force-injected or force something into his body, and this is actually why he passed. So it's not of, I'm not saying he didn't take drugs, he did, but it's not of his own volition that way. So there's something that was forced into his body, into his metabolism, and he's like, no, I didn't overdose. I did not overdose. He also is relaxing. He's showing me an image of a Tahiti, Hawaii, Costa Rica, somewhere like this, tropical, and he's showing me the drums. Now, I know he doesn't play drums, but for some reason, he's relaxing doing this. So I don't know if he went on vacation before or this was planned, but he's relaxing. Something about the beat, something, I don't know if he was a drummer before he was a rapper. I have no idea, but I'm being shown the drums. And he's relaxing, and it's good. He wanted what we all want, family, life, but he also wanted to be seen, and he wasn't seen. He was used. His energy was very powerful. He did not know this. Had no idea how powerful I was. No idea, he says. No idea. And when I say he says, the wording comes into my head. But no idea how powerful I was. I turned my power over and they took it from me. So he's saying there's a usurping of power in his passing. So there's something that isn't quite right with his passing, something that isn't the way that they portray it, and they know it, and they know it. And they can get all the money they want, and they can do all the stuff that they want with his energy. And don't think I don't know what happens. Don't think I don't know who got her pretty little hands on the phone and made the phone call. Don't think I don't know that. So he's basically saying that this was orchestrated and that his ingestion of whatever he took was orchestrated because he wasn't going to play ball and he wasn't going to do what they wanted. So he started to fight. And there was really nothing they could do to him except this because he didn't really allow himself to get put in too many compromising positions. He was smarter than that. That's what I get. He was smarter than that. And he's so it makes him smile, and he's so happy with, now I don't know if he has a little brother in real life or the little brother is on the other side, meaning I'm being told about a little brother, but I don't know where this little brother is. If he doesn't have one in real life, then they're on the other side with him, but it's my little brother. My little brother is what I keep hearing. Sometimes I hear fragments of words and I don't know what the hell it means, so I'm just throwing it out there. That's how it works for me. And I like to explain it so that people understand from my perspective where it's coming from, because all of our bodies are different. And he's saying that all of our bodies are different, but I didn't OD. He didn't OD. Very, very smart. Don't know why he wanted to be a rapper. Thought he wanted to do this. This was playing out from a past life. So this is a second lifetime where he's following into suit. And this is the play out of what he thought he wanted from the first life. So I have a feeling this happened 2 times in a row to him, meaning that life to this life. And he wanted to complete that energy, and it happened anyway. That's what I want to say. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So it's not the way that they seem. It's not the way that they presented this. It's not the way. And his death is not forgotten. The other thing that he wants me to explain to you, is that when somebody dies like this, and they're a famous person like he was, or any famous person, okay, Elvis, Kurt Cobain, definite connection to Kurt Cobain. I do not know what that connection is. Maybe you all do. But when this happens and their energy is continued to be elevated on the other side, he's saying at first it's very overwhelming. Like, it's overwhelming because the sorrow that he feels for his family, for his friends, for the people that know him personally is one thing, but then the sorrow he feels for the people that don't know him, that it just admired his music or liked or elevated him. He's saying that energy and prayer really elevated him, and I was a good person, because somebody was trying to say he wasn't a good person, but he was a good person. He actually was a good person. That's what he's saying. He wants people to know that. This is not the way it happened, and I wasn't going to sign the contract. And he's not talking about what we usually think with the typical contracts, where we talk about like soul destination and soul, wrapping that soul up so we can do it. He's not talking about that. He's talking about what they wanted him to do and how they wanted to change and alter his personality. He was not going to go for that. That's what he's saying. That's actually what he's saying. Okay. So this is my second video, but the first one that will remain online from this point on Mac Miller. Thanks again, and my name is Sloan from SloanBella.com.